to Financial Insider Weekly. I'm your host, Michael Gray, CPA. My guest today is Janis Carney, who's an attorney, and she's also a partner in the firm Carney, Sugai Sudweeks, LLP. So, Janis, thank you for being my guest today.
You're welcome.
Janis's firm is located in Los Gatos, California, which is close to San Jose for those of you who may be watching from more distant places. Her firm focuses on elder law.
Mm-hmm.
She received her JD degree, her law degree, if you will, from the University of Santa Clara Law School in 1990. And Janis has been practicing law independently for 18 years. 14 of those were as a solo practitioner. She is a certified specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate law by the State Bar of California Board of Legal Specialization since 1995. And in 2005, Janis became the first certified elder law attorney in Santa Clara County through the National Association of Elder Law Attorneys. In 2009, Janis became an accredited attorney with the Veterans Administration, and that's of particular interest to us today because we're going to be talking about Veterans Administration benefits for long-term care. So let's get to it. Thank you again for coming and being my guest today.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Janis, why did you get involved with planning for veterans benefits?
Well, as an elder law attorney, most of my practice focuses on public benefits for skilled nursing homes, and that's through Medi-Cal system. And there's almost nothing that is available to aid elders who are trying to stay home or stay in an assisted living facility instead. And when I started learning about the veterans benefits, I realized that these benefits would aid people who will qualify for them, of course, to pay for that in-home care in assisted living. And I felt such relief. I was really frustrated previously.
Yeah, so that's something that's very helpful. That's something that wasn't available through other public benefits, but you have to have the right client.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there are many, many of them.
Okay. So, well, you've been an elder law attorney for a while. Why didn't you know about these benefits before?
Well, that's a good question. In most of the programs I went to, we would talk about public benefits, and right at the end, they'd sort of say, and oh yes, there's veterans benefits, but no one really talked about it. And so, I and most of my colleagues didn't really think that there was very much available. It's because the VA actually, I don't know if intentionally or not, but has in essence kept this a secret since it was created in 1954, the benefit program that I'm talking about. A few years ago, and maybe 5 to 10 years ago, some attorneys discovered these benefits who were also elder law attorneys looking to see if there were benefits available for their clients who were in assisted living. And they discovered this whole program that I'll be talking about, and it fit just perfectly in the right situation. So in essence, no one was doing anything on this until fairly recently. And of course, these attorneys now have been telling other attorneys about it.
Yeah. Now, and I don't know if it relates to this at all, but anyway, I saw that when they were talking about items in the federal budget, that the veterans benefits area has been growing, and of course part of it is that we're getting more people that need care that are coming back from the Gulf conflict and so forth. So
I think that may be also because of the number of disabilities that they're starting to recognize. That's not the program that I'm going to be talking about, but I think that has grown as well.
Okay. By the way, just for you folks to have a frame of reference, today is January 11th, 2011, and so if you're wondering, when were these people talking about this, that's what the date is today. All right. So Well, what types of benefits are available to the Department of Veterans Affairs?
Well, I like to explain to my clients and to programs where I speak that you have to understand that there are two different agencies with the VA.
Okay.
There's the Veterans Health Agency and the Veterans Benefits Agency. The Health Agency is the agency that runs the hospitals, the clinics, even has some nursing homes. There are not many, but those are the ones that do the hands-on kinds of care. The Veterans Benefits Agency is the agency that provides the funds for the home loans for veterans home loans and veterans educational benefits, and the money to compensate soldiers who have been injured and disabled because of their service, and also this program called the pension program. So understanding that there's two different agencies.
You know, like sub-agencies, if you will, yeah.
Right. There's two different agencies, and interestingly, I've heard stories that many of the caseworkers and other people who work for the Veterans Health Agency don't really even understand that there's a Veterans Benefit Agency and that all of these benefits are otherwise available. They may say to a soldier that, no, there's nothing else for you, and they don't understand that they should go and look at the Veterans Benefit Agency. Today's discussion, I'm going to focus on the veteran or the VA pension with its supplement of aid and attendance as our focus.
Okay. Now, it's called a VBA or the Veterans Benefits Association Pension Program. So does that mean this is a regular retirement program?
No. Pension is really misconstrued here. It has nothing to do with retirement or retirement benefits. It's just a program, the name that they gave to the program. In order to qualify for the program, you have to be either permanently and totally disabled or aged 65 or older. So you can sort of think of it as an old age kind of thing for the most part. I think that's when it's being used. But it has nothing to do with retirement. You don't have to be a veteran to do this. You have to be. You have to meet their other criteria.
Requirements, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about how you do qualify for these benefits, and related to that, we have a slide that is going to be shown here that says VA pension eligibility requirements. So maybe you can explain a little bit related to that.
Okay, so there's basically 4 requirements for the Veterans Pension Program. You have to have a veteran who served at least one day during a wartime period. And the war times, I don't think that there's any veterans alive from World War I, but as I'm going to be talking about, these are also benefits for surviving widows of veterans. So there are some surviving widows of veterans from World War I. And World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and Persian Gulf. Interesting, the Persian Gulf War started in 1990, and we have been in continuous war period ever since. So it is currently, of course, going on.
So as far as the Veterans Administration is concerned, we have been at war since 1991?
1990.
1990, okay.
August of 1990 is when the Gulf War was declared to begin.
And that's back when we had that Kuwait conflict.
Correct.
And then,
correct.
Anyway, and so it's sort of been ongoing ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah.
They for the war to end, Congress has to declare an end of the war, and they haven't.
Wow.
So the next requirement, I back up, so you have to have served during a war period, but only one day.
Yeah.
It has to be during the war period, but you have to have served at least 90 days
in the military.
In the military. That's almost never a problem. You also have to have an acceptable discharge. What's acceptable? Clearly an honorable discharge would be fine, but there's many other kinds of discharges, and one called a general discharge. a general discharge might be for misconduct, but for some reason they decided not to call it dishonorable. And if the VA can look into the reason for the discharge, and if they find it was misconduct of some sort, they can deny benefits. So it has to be an acceptable discharge. Of course, most of our soldiers were discharged honorably.
Yes.
So that's usually not a problem. Even if it is a problem, it might be an excusable discharge, or we might be able to get that discharge rating changed. So it's not always fatal, but it is a criteria we have to deal with. The third criteria is that you have to be, as I mentioned earlier, either permanently and totally disabled or age 65 or older. My clients, who are generally elders, are in the latter group. But although I have a few that are younger.
Okay.
And then you have to be relatively poor. And I said relatively poor because there are some assets that you're allowed to keep. A house, a car, personal kind of possessions. And then there is a certain amount of other, usually cash or investments and stuff like that, that you can keep. But there's no set dollar amount. If you have more than that, we have to do some kind of planning for it. And then the second part of the relatively poor issue is income. So there is an income criteria to this. But if you can meet those qualifications, we're fine.
Okay. So did you want to add anything, or do you feel like you pretty well covered the poor?
On the poor stuff? Well, on the poor issue, the income is unusual treatment in compared to what I was used to with Medi-Cal. And the unusual character of it is that if you have unreimbursed medical expenses, you can set those off against your income and artificially reduce your income. And the really cool thing about veterans benefits is the VA treats caregiving. If you need it, you have to substantiate the medical need for it. If you have caregiving at home or in an assisted living facility, that cost is considered a medical expense. So if I've got someone in a nursing or in an assisted living facility paying, say, $4,000 a month for assisted living care, and their income is $3,600 a month, they effectively have no income.
Yeah, so you get to just subtract those medical costs.
Exactly. It's fabulous.
Okay.
So that's a real big advantage.
Okay. What do people do if they have too many assets that count?
Good question. There are planning techniques. It's probably difficult to talk about exactly what planning I would do on each kind of case. Some of the situations, folks can convert their asset to an income flow, such as an annuity, but that's a very dangerous thing to do because of the consequences for Medi-Cal. And I know there are a lot of annuity salespeople out there selling them. And Michael, it's really scares me because they could be disqualifying those folks for Medi-Cal, which is what's going to pay for their skilled nursing home when and if they get to that level. And you know, some of these annuities that are sold, they sell a 90-year-old an annuity that's going to pay out until the gentleman is 120 years old. That's a real problem. So you can convert the assets to income. You can convert them into an exempt asset, such as pay off the house and those kinds of things. You can give away assets as well. So there's a number of things that can be done.
Okay.